Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My comments are going to be short, Mr. Chairman, but I share with many on this committee the genuine interest in trying to resolve this problem and have spent weeks working on it, have sat and met with numerous of the individuals that live in my district trying to find ways in which we can look at this issue. And I guess I'm new to Washington, and I know this happens on both sides, but it is very frustrating to me to look at something in which, and I have tremendous respect for you, Mr. Cummings, and the work that has been put in here, but I think there's a lot of ideas, but to come in and then give this 5 minutes before we're getting ready to go in, how do I have the opportunity to legitimately take into consideration many of the issues that you have before I got to cast a vote? I think there's some things that could have been worked on. This is the only bill I had to work with. I sat down there for hours at night trying to find ways to make this work, not a peep for other things in which we could find ways to do it. And now I know the politics of it will look good, but now I'm going to go back and have to talk to my workers about how I didn't do all of these. These could be reasonable solutions. So I just need to tell you how frustrated I am to see such a meaningful piece of work minutes before we're asked to cast votes.
The gentleman yield.
Yes.
Since the gentleman addressed his concerns to me, let me be clear that we get the same amount of time that you have on amendments. And this is Washington, and this is a very difficult task that we're about here. And my bill, the bill that is actually the substitute, the amendment, my amendment, was filed over a month ago. So what I'm saying is that this is part of our process. One of the things that the chairman has said, by the way, is that as we go through this process that we will have disagreements. But the chairman has said, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, that he wants to make sure that even after today that we sit down and if there are still differences, try to work out what we can. I have committed to the chairman, and he's committed to me, that we want to try to make this a bipartisan effort. I think that is extremely important, extremely. I think the American people want that. And I said, I don't know if you were here in during my opening statement, I said, if we can't get this done, we don't need to be here. If we can't get this done, this is basic. This is what, Chevrolet and apple pie? This is it. And so, and affecting all of us. And it's so important. And I think, and another thing, I think you will hear a lot of compassion on both sides. I mean, I try to make sure I put myself in other people's shoes and understand where they're coming from. But I mean, you heard Mr. Lynch as he talked about his family members and how he feels about it. I mean, just gut-wrenching issues. And so I think if we can take all of that passion and compassion and develop a bipartisan bill, we'll be in great shape. Last but not least, my mother, who was a former sharecropper who only had a second-grade education, used to say, don't have motion, commotion, emotion, and no results. And so we are determined to have results that make sense. And so I want to thank the gentleman for what you said, but I wanted to make it clear that we're trying to. This is a tough process.
Would the gentleman yield further? This is the first major markup that this committee has done on an issue of this sort, and that makes it the first major markup that I've done as chairman. I would say to you that we will get better as I have more time on this. But I also say that if not for the work that you've been doing the last 48 hours in pushing for things that from your years in Federal service you knew could be done that could make this bill better, we wouldn't be prepared to make the bill as good as it's going to be when it leaves here today. In my nearly 11 years here, the one thing I've learned from people like Billy Tozen and John Dingell and others who came before me is, although John Dingell will be here after I'm gone, I'm sure, that a bill has to be living through the entire process. And I've made a commitment to the ranking member, and I make that same commitment to you. If additional ideas come to you and additional solutions come to you, as some of them that you're going to be offering here today, I will ensure that we find a way to get it into the manager's amendment if at all possible, or have it ruled in order on the floor. My assumption is that when we left the subcommittee with Mr. Ross, we had improved our understanding of positions and what was possible. I'm just as dedicated to do it here. But I wanted to personally thank you for the work you did of reading the bill, studying the bill, meeting with all the various parties, and coming up with real-world solutions that are going to help us a lot. And I yield back.